Today, let's talk about cleanup. One more video about cleanup. And this one is very special because we'll be talking about different points on satellite that you can move it on just to help this cleaning up process. By the way, this is not the similar cleanup process that we discussed before because this is more management steps or management tasks. The tasks that the administrator responsible for satellite should be taking care of. I'm gonna share a lot of tips and tricks on this video, but before I move it on, I would like to thank you a lot because this is the last video of this year. We have the Christmas in the corner and next week, like New Year. So I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and an amazing Happy New Year. So let's go to the video. Here we have satellite and behind we can see this terminal. So some points that I would like to see in satellite when doing this kind of assessment, it's something like this. Let's start by the beginning. We can see hosts, all the hosts that I have in my system. And eventually you can see that I have RHEL10, 2 machines with RHEL10, 2 machines with RHEL9, 1 machine with RHEL8. And then you say, well, this is easy because you have just 5 machines on this satellite. Eventually I have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000. How can I get this one easily? One way that I like is this. OS, you can go to the text field, OS equal, and then you can see that Red Hat will just pop up because we just have Red Hat flavor on this satellite. Assuming that you have different flavors in your satellite, you should be able to see all of them listed here. My main goal at this moment is to play with Red Hat. So I will pick Red Hat. If we just click on the arrow, this is gonna bring all of them. And then I can do something like this. And now a little bit of regex. We have this OS major and minor. Basically major is this one from 9.7, as we can see here. The major version is 9 and 7 is the minor version. I don't care about the minor version, I care about the major. And then equal. This is gonna give us some hints about the information that we have in our database or in our satellite. And then we can see that I have 10, 8, and 9, or 10, 9, and 8. And all of them are supported at this moment, or at least the moment that I'm recording this video. But let's suppose that I'm looking for RHEL7, RHEL6, RHEL4, RHEL5, all the old stuff that is not supported anymore, or even if you don't have them in your environments. So I can create this kind of filter. So let's suppose RHEL7. If I hit the button here, there is no machine because I don't have RHEL7, but let's keep going. Let's suppose that I'm looking for RHEL7 and also RHEL6. So I can add an OR and OS major will be equal 6. Something like this. I can create a group over here, and this is part of the idea of regex. Basically, this one will be executed, like the filter will be OS major equals 7 or OS major equals 6. Let me find those machines, and this will match with this N over here, looking for OS that is matched with Red Hat. All right, if I try this one, I see no answer. Let me do this. Let me remove all of them. We know for sure that we have 2 RHEL10, also 2 RHEL9, and 1 RHEL8. So let me change this one a little bit just to see the results, and then we can play around. I'm looking for RHEL9, and we know for sure that this is gonna bring back only 1 entry, or at least, or 2 entries should be here. And let's suppose that I would like to play also with my RHEL8, which is 1 entry. So the response should be something like this. And then we can see RHEL97, 96, and 8.10. And again, doesn't matter the minor version because I'm looking for OS major, the major version. For RHEL8 and 9, I don't care because at this moment I have all of them in a supported state. But let's suppose that I would like to play with RHEL7 and also RHEL6. And let's suppose that I would like also to play with RHEL5. So my query should be something like this. OS equal Red Hat, and now I can play with my minor or major versions, which will be RHEL7 or RHEL6 or RHEL5. So this is the first thing that I like to do whenever doing this kind of query, because this is gonna show me all the machines that I have in that specific state. But okay, let's suppose that I see some entries. Let me change to this content host tab over here. And this is already a bonus time. I can paste that query over here. Again, we don't have this, but let's come back to 8 and 9 just to have a reference. This will bring back the two machines that we have on RHEL 9 and one machine as RHEL 8. Some attention points here. You can see that the last checking, I'm looking for set04.king.lab, and this is the name of my satellite, so I can definitely exclude my satellite from this query. We can do this via this query as well, and something like this, for instance, and name equal set04.king.lab. If I do something like this is gonna bring back only that machine because I'm adding an and I'm looking for the name equal. I don't want to equal. I want something different from that name. Then there you go. Now, if we take a look on this query again, I'm looking for all the machines where the base OS or the operating system is Red Hat. And I have a group over here. And in this group, I'm picking the major version equal 8 or major version equal 9. So this is picking all of them, including the satellite. And that is a dummy entry that we have on satellite because we need that. But I would like to exclude that machine from my query. So I can do something like this. And the name is different from the satellite FQDN. And now I'm confident that those entries are the name of content hosts, excluding satellite. So let me copy this query. From here, my second tip will be this, less checking. So basically there is one process that is running on your client, on each client that you have, called RHEL6 CV, and that process or that system or that service is going to be running by default every 4 hours. In other words, every 4 hours, each of your content hosts registered through satellite or even customer portal, but in this case, specifically satellite, will be checking in on your satellite, just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm okay, let me see some subscription stuff, and we'll be doing this checking. If the machine was removed, deleted, for some reason, like you created that machine somewhere, vCenter, KVM, cloud environment, and then you did all this stuff, you registered against the satellite, this last checking was up to date. Eventually, you went to that environment, you deleted that machine is not there anymore. If you take a look on your satellite, what will happen is the last checking will be 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 weeks, 1 month, and go on. So sometimes what can happen is you create a filter like for RHEL7 or RHEL6 or RHEL5, and you see some entries, but those entries, the last checking is very old. So that means that those machines got eventually registered against your satellite sometime in the past. Those machines are not around anymore, but you still have those machines, those entries in your satellite. So how to fix that? You can basically pick those machines, click on the drop down aside of select action, and delete hosts. This is going to delete all the entries from your satellite. And again, feel free to do a double check, because if you say, okay, I believe this machine is around, but the last checking was like 2 months ago or 1 year, 2 years ago, go on. Feel free to take a look on the machine, click on the machine. Feel free to take a peek on the IP address, something like this. You can try to connect on that machine. You can do different kind of search on your environment just to see if that machine is still around. If not, definitely you can get rid of them because they should not be in your satellite anymore. And again, this is also part of the management of your satellite, this process, okay? So if we come back here, let me do a query again. We have those machines. I can pick from here, or I can pick from my content host, left menu, same query, and then you should be able to see the last checking information. This is very precious. Here you can already delete those machines, assuming those machines are not checking anymore. You should be able to pick all of them, select the action, delete host. this is going to delete the host from satellite, and this is also part of this cleanup process, okay? In this case, I'm okay because I have RHEL9, RHEL8, both are valid, so yeah, I'm good with this. The next point I would like to show you is this, and this is simple. Content on the left menu, sync status. Sync status is going to show you all the repositories that you have in your system. And then I like to expand all of them and take a good look, but let me show you one simple way. Anything that is starting by Red Hat is coming from Red Hat. Anything that is not starting by Red Hat, this one is also coming from Red Hat though, but you can see something like Apple. So this is definitely not coming from Red Hat. The main difference that you can keep here in mind is this. By default, in your satellite, if you enable this repository and you sync, this repository in your satellite will be on demand, which means this can be like a huge repository, but satellite will just download the metadata, will not download the packets. Whenever you have the client and the client is requesting those packets, there you go, satellite is going to download those packets. This is not true for your third-party repos. If you go to your satellite, you create a RHEL6, for example, and you sync that repository will be downloaded completely to your satellite, to the storage of your system, okay? So with that said, you can imagine that I don't have any RHEL6 or RHEL7 on my environment, but I do have RHEL6 and RHEL7. So definitely I could be able to get rid of them. And this is going to claim back some storage for us, which is amazing. So if I take a look here, check this out. I have RHEL6 server, and then Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 server RPMS 8664. Again, I don't have RHEL6, so I definitely can get rid of those repos. I don't have RHEL7, I definitely can get rid of those repos. Can I get rid of them from here? No, this is not the place. This is nice because we'll easily show you all the repos that you have in your satellite, and then you can get this idea. If we click on this expand all, we can see all of them. So let's do a quick peek. RHEL7, extended live support. I have no RHEL7. Definitely, I can get rid of this. I have this compute node for RHEL7. I have no RHEL7, as I mentioned before. RHEL7, a lot of things for RHEL7. So basically, all those here on the top, I can get rid of them because I don't have RHEL7 in my environment. This is also for RHEL7, I believe. We can do a double check in a few. See, the information here is not totally clear. If it is for RHEL7, 6, 5, then this is a question mark here, but we'll answer this question in a few. For RHEL10, we have RHEL10. This is valid, that's okay. RHEL8, same. RHEL9, same. Here, check this out. I have my Red Hat Satellite client for RHEL10, okay. 8, okay. 9, okay. And then eventually you can see things like this. This is for RHEL8. And okay, I have RHEL8. But this is satellite Unused for 611, satellite 611. The satellite I'm using here is satellite 6.18. So eventually I deployed this machine back when the time was 611, and I used to have this repository. And then I moved on with the upgrade to 612. After that, I enabled this repo. And then I moved on with the upgrade 613 and 614 and 616, 615, 617. So you got the point here. I'm not using them anymore. So definitely I can get rid of them. Eventually, if there is something in the version that I'm using, 6.18, then yes, I should be able to keep that repository because I'm using that repository. But for those over here, I don't care. I definitely can get rid of them. And as a side effect, I'll be getting some storage back. RHEL6, wow, long no see. Then definitely, yes, I can get rid of this repo as well. RHEL7, we don't have RHEL7. Again, see, RHEL7, satellite Unused, 611. I can get rid of this. Apple, I don't have 6, I don't have 7. I can get rid of those repos, definitely. Apple for RHEL10, I can keep because I have my RHEL10. So, see, this is a nice point that you can take a look and you can get an idea about the repos because you can see all of them in a single place easily. You can browse, you can expand, you can collapse all of them. So this is good. Keep in mind also that if you have multiple organizations, eventually you can go to the second, the third, the fourth organization, and you can do the same exercise just to see which repo you have enabled and that you can get rid of your satellite. Okay, I mentioned that this is one way that we can see easily, but now let's see how to play with them. I can also see from here, from products. And from here, I have to access one by one, like this .NET, and then I can see this for RHEL7. So you can see that we can click over here. You can be playing with those products, different products and different repositories. But this is more a back and forth because you have to access, you have to enter. Eventually, you can open multiple tabs. If you need some additional information here, you can. Will be better than the sync status, but this is another way. How can I remove or how can I get rid of them? For third-party repositories, we can do from here. Because let's suppose I have my RHEL6. My RHEL6 is over here. I can definitely click on those and I can remove the repositories. Eventually, if your repository is still in use in any content view or composite content view, part of the composite content view, Satellite's going to complain. We will not allow you to remove this because you have to break this chain first. So we'll be playing with this in a few. This is for third-party repositories. For Red Hat repositories, I'm going to access Red Hat repositories underneath content on your left menu. And then on the right side of this beauty page, we can see all the information. At this moment, you can see that I have on my satellite 28 repos. So let me take a look on the repos. You can also take a look, if you wish, something like this, var, lib, pulp, media, artifacts. We can see that we have 5.4 gigs. This is not too much. This is my lab machine, but eventually in your environment, you see a lot of gigs, eventually terabytes, 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, 5 terabytes. And then you say, man, this is too much. I would like to clean up some stuff. I would like to get back some storage. This is the process. So you can take a peek here. You can execute this command. This is going to give you some idea. I have another video, as I mentioned before, talking about cleanup. There are some different processes, but this is one of them. Definitely you can take a look on this, take a note about this value, and we'll be back on this soon. From this page, how can I be sure about things that I can get removed from satellite? One of them, or one nice tip here, is the blue circle. Anytime that you see something like this, which is not gray out, for example, like this, it is because you can remove, like if you used to have a content view and that content view got removed by any chance, then this chain is broken. You can definitely get rid of this repo. If you have this content, let's take a look on that note, cannot be disabled because it is part of a content view. If this is part of a content view, you have to break this chain. You have to go to the content view, remove that content view, do this cleanup process, and after that, only after that, you can come back to this page and remove this repository. This is another point. So you can see that we have some repos over here that are not in use, and definitely I can get rid of them. But before we do on this, let me show another point that I would like to show you, which will be inside lifecycle activation keys. And here we can see some activation keys. So note that those activation keys, they are related to one specific lifecycle environment and one specific content view or composite content view. So eventually, whenever you try to remove the content view or composite content view, they will say something like, there is this activation key. So you're removing this one. What should I do with those machines or those registrations? Eventually, you have to remove those content views or basically move it on. Anyway, you can see that we have a lot of pieces that we have to keep in mind. So let's do this. I will fly solo right now, and I will try to do some wrong stuff in a way that we can see this happening, and then how we should be able to proceed in a correct way or recommended way. First things first, we already know, like the host that we have, we don't have any content host RHEL7, 6, or 5. So that's okay. The next one, and I believe the simple one, is accessing Red Hat repositories. And again, if you see something like this, a blue circle, very vivid blue, that is telling us that you can get rid of this repo. But Wally, I'm not sure if this is in use. Believe me, if this is for RHEL7 and I have no RHEL7 at all, no one is going to complain. So I can get rid of this just by clicking on disable. So let's wait a little bit and then we can see this message. Hey, the repository yada 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 has been disabled successfully. We can see the beauty success over here. And you can see that this list of repositories, they just move it up. Eventually you get excited and then you do things like this. Let me remove this and this and this and this. And you keep going like, okay, oops, they went up, and then eventually you can click on some repositories that you don't want to remove. So my advice here is you can go bottom to top. So let me show what I mean by that. Let me pick like 50 per page and then we can see all of them. I'm going to scroll right to the bottom. I know that satellite Unused 6.17 is not a thing for me. This satellite 6.18, 6.16, 16, 15, 14. So yeah, I can click over here, I can click over here, I can click over here. If I'm gonna to click over here, see, will be a shift here because that one was on the top. But let's suppose that I have this and this. If I move this one to the bottom, the difference will not be too much because that one is already at the bottom. I believe you got what I mean by that. Then how to do this properly? If you want to go faster, you can. Just do a review, 613, 12, 11, 11. So I can pick all of them. I can go 4 by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can wait. I can scroll up. Okay, this is a satellite 6 for RHEL8. I don't have this in my content view, but RHEL8 is still a valid repository. So I'm going to keep this one here. Same for RHEL8. So Wally, do you have a RHEL8 for sure? I saw that. So let's open another terminal here. We have this RHEL8, and for God's sake, why that repo is not in use? Because I'm getting this from library def organization view. So I'm not creating any content view. I'm using this rolling content view concept. In other words, I don't need to add that repository in my content view. And because of that, I'm creating some sort of version. Because of that, I'm totally free to remove that information if I would like to. So this is the reason why we can see this one in blue. Let's scroll up. This is for RHEL7. Okay, I can get rid of this. And right now, look this. We started with 28 repos. We are already with 13, which is amazing. Totally deserves your subscription. This is the first and simpler step, definitely, whenever doing this kind of work. Now, let's play by the book. What is the next step? I have this RHEL6, and as you know, I have no RHEL6. So we have this RHEL6 server. Let's see if there is any other RHEL6 things over here. No, I just have that specific repository. And I'm not able to remove this one yet. So how can I know if there is a content view or composite content view? So let me open in a new tab. I'm gonna put over here. Let me close those. Then we can click on content on the left menu, lifecycle, content view. And from here, I can search by Apple. And check this out. We have this content view, Apple. And I know that we have also the composite content view, Apple. So let's start by the composite content view. The composite content view has multiple versions. If I open this version 3, I can see the content view for RHEL6, and I can also see the content view for Apple version 6. So I would like to remove all of them because I have nothing to do with RHEL6 at this moment. To check the Apple, let's do this. Let me open a new tab, overview. Let's click on content on the left menu, products. I know that Apple is the one, and then Apple 6. I want to delete this one. Click on remove repositories, or I can even access that repository, RHEL6, select action and remove repositories. Both of them will end up in the same place. So let's give it a try. Let's see what will be presented. Repository will also be removed from the following published content view versions. I have this repository on my content view RHEL on version 1, and I also do have this on my composite content view on those versions 1, 2, and 3. Are you sure that you wanted to remove the repository RHEL6 from all the content views? Definitely, I am. So let's click on delete here and see what will happen. Basically, Satellite is gonna update this information. We'll try to remove this repository. We'll update all those repositories, all those content views with the new information. So if we take a look here, that was version 3. So let me see if another version is going to be created. We have also the content view for RHEL6. Okay, RHEL6 is not here anymore. So we are still with version 3 and version 4. Let's take a look on this content view. Okay, I can see the version or the repository of RHEL, which is good. And if we take a look on the composite content view, I'm still seeing the RHEL over here. I believe I opened the wrong one, not RHEL6. I'm looking for the RHEL of RHEL6 as well. So let's take a look on the content view. Contents, lifecycle, content view RHEL, version 1. Before I click on version 1, look at that. So Satellite will not publish a new version. Instead, Satellite is going to remove manually, very, very harsh on this repository. See, there is no package. This information was filled before, just with the information of that specific repository. Once we agree to remove that repository, there you go. Let me remove this from this specific content view, composite content view, but I will not publish a new version. So even if we click on version 1, there is nothing over here. So this is empty, which is okay. So first thing, I came to my third-party repo. I removed this one, 6. Can I remove the RHEL7? We will, but at this moment, let's remove the whole information about RHEL6, and then we can come back and we can play smarter with the RHEL7. We got rid of the repository, the third-party repository, okay? So now the content view. So from here, we can see the composite content view. And in this composite content view, I have 2 different content views. If I go to my content view and try to remove the content view, that is probably a complaint because I have those contents or those content views as part of this composite content view. Let's give it a try. So I have my content view RHEL6. If I go to my content view RHEL6, I can click over here. See, I have my content view, different versions. Let me do this. Content view RHEL6 is this one. If I click on these 3 dots on the right side and try to delete, let's see what this wizard is going to tell us. So let's remove versions from environments. I can see the version 1. There is no host, there is no activation keys, which is good. Let's click on next. Then I'm going to review this detail. Let's delete. Look at that beauty. Cannot delete the version while it's still in use by composite content view. And this is used in the composite content view RHEL6 Acme. We can see that the content view is the same. CCV, RHEL6, Acme, but I have version 1.0 or 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. In other words, let's come back to the composite content view. Let's click on versions. I have all of them over here. I can remove by versions, something like this. I can click over here and delete all of them. Or what I can do is something similar to before, something that similar to what we tried to do with that RHEL6. I have my composite content view, RHEL6. I can click on the three dots, pick delete, and now I can see different versions, the version 1, version 2, and version 3. And then I can see the environment, content hosts, activation keys. See, if there are hosts over here, this wizard is gonna ask you, hey, where would you like to put this content host attached to? This is gonna happen with the activation keys. So we'll be taking a look. Let's hit next. Select the lifecycle environment. And this is talking about the activation key, because the activation key is pointing to this specific content view that I'm consuming in this specific lifecycle environment. If some new machine use the same content view, which content view would like to move it on? This is a RHEL6, so I'm not sure because I will not keep anything here. I would like to do something like this. Let's move the machine by default to the for organization view, which is standard. Anytime that you deploy your satellite, a brand new satellite, the for organization view will be there. So that's okay. I'm okay with that. And this will be on library. I can show the activation keys that are related to this process and just hit next. Then let's take a look on this review. All versions will be removed from those environments. There is no more version of those composite content views on lifecycle, dev, QA, prod, and also library, because I'm deleting this one. And also the activation key. 3 activation keys will be moved to the content view, the for organization view, which means I have my activation key for RHEL6 that was pointing to prod, for instance, and one specific composite content view. That activation key now will be pointing to library, the full organization view. And again, this is okay because I'm not working anymore with RHEL6. At the end of the day, I'm going to get rid of those activation keys. This is also part of the plan. So I'm okay with that. So let's hit delete and let's wait for this task to finish. We can see that the task is over here. This is less than a minute. So we can refresh this page eventually. And then there you go. There is no more content view over here or composite content view. I can see my content view for RHEL6 and I can see my content view for RHEL6. If I go to my content view for RHEL6 now and try to delete, let's see what will happen. I have 4 versions, similar idea. I published this multiple times, 4 times, but again, I don't care because this is RHEL6. I don't have RHEL6 anymore. Let's click on delete. This is gonna remove all the versions from my library because all those versions, they were published and promoted only to library. That's okay, this is expected. Let's delete. And again, this process is gonna be here running. We can see the version 4. If we refresh this page, that content view is gone. Pretty cool, huh? We have one more thing here, which is the content view for RHEL6. Again, I'm not gonna use this one. I have just one version. I can definitely click over here, pick delete. This is only version 1, which is in library. There is no host or activation key. Let's hit next. Review, just telling that's gonna get rid of this, delete. And I got some error. Let me see. Interesting, because this was concluded successfully. So let's come back to contents, lifecycle, content view. Yeah, I believe that we saw some sort of glitch and pretty weird. But we can also see that the task was concluded successfully. And at this moment, there is no more content view for RHEL6 or content view RHEL for RHEL6. So with that said, we removed all the relationship. We opened the chain about RHEL6. With that said, we can click on contents, Red Hat Repositories. And now look this beauty. Again, this now deserves your thumbs up and a subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Now I can definitely click on this minus in a way that this is gonna remove this repository for me from satellite. And then we can see the message. This repository, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 server, RPMS for 8664 server, got disabled or removed successfully, which is amazing. All right, this was RHEL6. And now I have some additional stuff here for RHEL7. I'm doing this step by step. If you want to do a lot of things in parallel, definitely you can. Your satellite's going to handle this perfectly. But just to keep on track, what we did was we went back to our content views. We removed like the content views, composite content views, the third-party repo. And right now, I would like to check my activation keys just to keep on track all the steps and everything that we are doing. We can see over here, AK RHEL6 Dev, Prod, and QA, and they are pointing to library, the for organization view. Wally, is this good practice to keep those over here? No, you should be removing them as well, because this is data, this is consuming area, this is consuming storage in our database, this is consuming entry over here for maintenance, for everything. Like don't keep old stuff in your satellite. So let me do this. Let me click on this one first to delete. Let's click on the drop down aside of select action, remove. Are you sure you wanted to remove the activation key, AK RHEL6 Dev? Yes, we are. And then that key is gone. Should I do this for the second one, the third one? Yes. By doing this right now, I'm thinking should be amazing if we see like a checkbox in a way that I can check multiple activation keys and just hit delete. I'm gonna fill up a request for enhancement for that. But for now, unfortunately, you have to click over here, click on this drop-down menu, pick remove, delete, and there you go. Let's do the next one for RHEL6 QA environment. Select action, delete, hit the delete button, and that's it. Like at this moment, you can see that we have no more information or activation key about RHEL6. So let's review this one quickly. I went to my products. This was the first step. So Apple, repository for Apple 6. Okay, we can remove. This process is going to remove any information or any relationship with this repository and some content view, composite content view. So we don't have to worry, just remove from here. This was our first step. After that, we went back to our content view. And then if you are using just content views, that's okay. You don't have to worry about this order. But if you have content views and composite content views, first you need to remove your composite content view, and then you need to remove your content views. And why is that? Because the composite content view, the contents of the composite content views are content views. So if the content view is part of a composite content view, you cannot delete the content view because someone else is using that content view. So you have to do this. If you have just content views, that's okay. You can just get rid of the content view and that's all. Nothing to worry. At this point over here, whenever deleting this content view, what we saw was some activation key that was pointing to them. And then the question was, hey, can I move this one to one specific environment? Yes, library, the for organization view. Can I do this differently now? Let's do this in a different order. Just to close up this idea, the next step was to go to the activation key and clean up the activation key. Right now, what I'm gonna do is this. The first step will be activation keys. I know that RHEL7, I have no RHEL7 at all. So I will start by the activation key. So let me remove this. There we go. Let me remove the second activation key for RHEL7, which is pointed to the prod environments. There you go. You can see that activation key has no relationship. Like under the hood, we have the relationship, but no dependency. I can definitely create and delete the activation keys, and this will not be a big problem. So at this moment, we are changing a little bit the order. What I'm doing is, firstly, I removed the activation keys for RHEL7. This is good. This is amazing. Now let me go to the repositories and let me see something for RHEL7. This is RHEL7. We can see this is grayed out. RHEL7, all of them are grayed out. Yeah, and we have just the three repositories. So I have now to go to my content view, lifecycle, content view. Let me close all of them, and we can just play with them to start with clean plates. I have my content view and I have my composite content view. You can see that I have my composite content view for Apple, my composite content view for RHEL7. You can see that I have here my composite content view for RHEL7, and I also have my content view for Apple 7 and my content view for RHEL7. Should I remove this one first? No. Let's go to our composite content view. Just click on the three dots, delete, next. This is going to tell you, hey, I'm going to remove this for all the lifecycle environments. And if you are curious about the lifecycle environments, we can take a look over here. So this specific composite content view was promoted to dev, QA, and prod. As part of the usage, as part of the maintenance, as part of the management, I selected those lifecycle environments, I promoted to those lifecycle environments, and I used to have my machines on those lifecycle environments as part of the best practice. At this moment, I would like to remove this from all of them. So if I click over here, delete, I can see all the versions, and we can expand to see what's going on each specific version. Then delete, this is going to give me a review. Let me remove this from all the environments. Yes, I wanna, I agree. This is what I'm looking for. And then there we go. This is running. If we refresh this page, this will be spending more time. Let me show one thing to you guys. Under the hood, what is happening? You will be able to see some workers. This is basically a task for Pope, and Pope is the guy that is working here doing all this stuff. So the composite content view for RHEL7 is gone, okay? And this is okay. This is amazing. Then right now, what I can do here, and again, I'm feeling the same idea about deleting like multiple versions. I'm also gonna open a request for enhancement for this. But content view for Apple 7, can I delete this one? Yes. Let's just click on delete. Version 1, that's okay. Let me remove this from library, delete. That's okay, that one is getting removed. Can I do this on RHEL7, CV RHEL7? Yes. Do I need to wait for that one to finish? No. You already master, you are understanding the flow, so definitely you can pick this one. Note that for this one, I have different versions, different environments, no hosts, no activation keys. So this is not gonna ask me to move my content host or activation key as happened before. Remember, before we got different activation keys, and then the question was where you like to set that activation keys to point on. Now, once there is no activation key pointing to this specific lifecycle environment / content view or composite content view, there you go. There is nothing to do. Just get rid of this. So this is going to be removed from library, which is good. And then there you go. Okay, if I refresh my page, I will not refresh yet. You can see that this task is still running, but the CV Apple 6 or Apple 7, it is already gone. So let's refresh. And now we don't have any more like the content views for RHEL7, content views or composite content views for RHEL7, which is great. So if we come back to Red Hat Repositories, are you ready? Look at that beauty. Optional for RHEL7, optional or optional ELS, optional, and RHEL7. So could I remove all of them? Definitely, you should. So again, we started with 28 repositories in the beginning of this video. Right now, we have 9. And this is amazing because if you are going to do some upgrade or some maintenance, some cleanup, this is what you're looking for. Just keep in your satellite the content that you are using or the content that you are consuming. This is amazing. This is perfect. This will avoid you a lot of side effects, a lot of weird behaviors, problems, and also the performance of your satellite server. All right, so if we return to content views, now I would say that we are good because we have now content view for RHEL9, content view for RHEL10, composite content view for RHEL9, composite content view for RHEL10, and my content view for RHEL10, my rolling content view. I kept one here just to show one specific process because I would like to show you this behavior and how you can handle this behavior. On Composite Content View RHEL10, you can see that version 5 is the one that was promoted to multiple lifecycle environments. And I have my version 5. And in the version 5, I have my Content View RHEL10. If I open my Content View RHEL10, I can open from that specific link, or I can open a new tab and open my Content View RHEL10. We can see over here that I have this version 5. And here I have Apple. So let's suppose that I would like to remove this Apple, okay? One way that you can think is I can do something like this. I can access my repository, I can remove this repository, but I will need to publish a new version. I will need to remove the previous versions of this content view, assuming that those content views, they have like this Apple repository. And after that, I should be able to come back to my repository and remove them. This process is valid if we are talking about a Red Hat repository. So let's suppose that let's come back here. Let's suppose that I would like to remove my satellite clients. So definitely I should be following this step. If I would like to remove any third-party repository, I can go straight to my third-party repository, and then there you go, get rid of that specific repository. And this reminded me that we didn't remove the RHEL7 Apple repository. I believe not. Let's take a look. So content, products, Apple, look at that. So yeah, sometimes you will need to go back and forth just to see. Because of that, I like to go one by one, because you'll be sure about the things that you're looking for, that you're removing, get rid of. But yeah, we got this in time, so I can definitely click over here, remove repository, delete, and there you go. You notice that this time didn't ask me anything about content view, composite content view, would like to, would you confirm, because there is no relationship with this repository anymore. So once this is a single repository with no relationship at all, no one is consuming this repository anymore, there you go. Let me just get rid of this as soon as possible, and that's all. All right, if we come back to Apple and hit repositories, you can see that I have just my Apple 10. So let's do both, because I would like to show you this behavior in a way that you can understand. Let's start again. Contents, lifecycle, content views. Our satellite is almost clean. Then I have my composite content view over here. The version that I'm using is 5. So let me open in a new tab. This version 5 is consuming the content from the content view RHEL10 on version 5 as well. So let's open that in a new tab. Let me stop this one here just to not get rid of your attention. In this content view RHEL10, you can see that we have this version 5, which was promoted just to library. So let me open this one. And in this content view, we can see 4 repositories. One is a third-party repository, Apple, and the 3 of them are Red Hat repositories. If I would like to remove a third-party repository, it will be simpler. Let me show you the reason. I can open a new tab, and we know that the version here is version 5. So let's click on Content, Products, Apple, Apple 10. Let's suppose that my company said, hey, Wally, you're not going to use Apple 10 anymore, so get rid of Apple as soon as possible. Okay, sounds good. Let me remove the repository, remove, delete, and then this is gonna get rid of this repository. We can see the task was concluded successfully. So let's come back to this one, refresh, and now we can see that Apple is not here anymore, which is good, okay? And maybe you are thinking, hey, Wally, why at this moment, whenever you try to delete this one, we didn't see that information about the content view, composite content view? I believe that the reason for that is that that repository before was part of one specific content view that was added in a composite content view. In this case, we have this content view with this specific set of repository, including the third-party repository. I was expecting that warning as well. I'm going to do some additional tests, but we can see that the version here is still 5.0 and Apple is not here anymore. So for sure, this is one way that you can think of removing that information. Let me see if the number of packets will change over here. We can see that right now is 29602. Yeah, the information got updated, 11,576, and kept the same version, version 5. Okay, this is the way to remove a third-party repository. And then for sure, if I return to my Apple repositories, there is no more repositories. Hey Wally, should I keep Apple over here? No. Select that product, remove that product as well. Anything that is not in use, anything that you can get rid of, go on. This is the right time. So this is going to create a task. You can definitely refresh this page, and whenever that is gone, that's okay. The product is okay. This is one way because we just removed the third-party repository. Okay, now let's suppose that I would like to remove this little guy over here. And this is a Red Hat Satellite Client 6 for RHEL10. If I go to my contents on the left menu, Red Hat Repositories, let's pick the name again, Red Hat Satellite Client 6 for RHEL10, Red Hat Satellite 6 for RHEL10, this one. Let's assume that I don't want to use the client anymore. I would like to remove this one as well. You can see that this is disabled. So, okay, I know how to do that. I know how to fix. Let me get rid of this content view at all. No, don't do that because your content view here is in use. Like we have this content view RHEL10, which is part of a composite content view RHEL10. And as you know, you have some content views or some content hosts that are consuming content from this content view. So a simple way to do this, let's go step by step. First thing, I need to remove this version from my content view, okay? And how to do that? Repositories. By default, this is going to present all the added repositories. And then I have this one over here. I would like to remove this repository. So I can click on this checkbox, click on the three buttons and remove. Or if we're talking about just one repository, I like to click over here and hit remove, assuming that I click it on the right one. Okay, that repository is not in this content view anymore, but I have to publish. Okay, so let's click on this button, publish new version, next, finish. This is going to create a new version of this content view without that specific repository. So if we take a look here, version 6 has no client anymore. But don't run away, my friend, because keep in mind that we have the version 5, version 4, version 3. So if I return to this page and refresh and go to the bottom, look at that. My satellite client for RHEL10, it's still like grayed out. I'm not able to remove that yet. So what should I do? If I go to my version 5 of this content view, open, I can see that satellite client is there. So I have to get rid of this specific version. Let me go version before, version 4. My satellite client is still there. So what I mean by that is any version that we have with that specific package or repository, I have to get rid of them. This one also has that version or that repository. Let's pick the version 2. This one also has that repository. This one also has the repository. You can definitely do this process via CLI using Hammer, but let me show you this via WebUI because this will be pretty simple. We know that all the previous versions over here, they have that specific repository. And as I mentioned before, there are ways to do this via Hammer, but let's keep this simple. Can I pick one specific repository and remove that version? Yes, I can. I can click on the checkbox. I can click over here and hit delete. This is good when I have multiple repositories. Let's suppose that I would like to remove just one. Similar to adding or removing repositories, I can click on this delete in the same row Then this is going to review and hey, the version 5 will be deleted and will be no longer available for promotion. Yep, I'm good with that. Delete and check this out. Something went wrong when or while deleting versions. Cannot delete version while it's in use by Composite Content View RHEL7 6 Acme. See, anytime that I'm working with a content view and composite content view, I have to be aware of that. So let's take a look on composite content view. And again, let me close some of them here just to start fresh. We are talking now about the composite content view RHEL7. If you see my composite content view version 6, let me open this one. I have my out promote or out publish enable. So this one is pointing to the version 6 of the content view RHEL7, which is this one over here, and which is the one that has no packets or no repository, that specific repository. However, look at that, the version 5, and if I open the version 5, we can see that this was pointing to the content view RHEL7 version 5. And if I open this content view on version 5 over here, I can see that specific repository. So this is the reason why that delete process was complaining. So how to fix that? One thing that I can do here is this content view was automatically published because I have this specific configuration auto publish on my composite content view. So what will happen is any content view that I have that is part of this composite content view, in this case, content view RHEL7, anytime that I publish a new version of my composite content view will get created as well. However, they will not be promoted to different lifecycle environments. So one thing that I can do here is this. Let me promote, and then I would like to promote this to my dev, QA, and prods. Let's just hit promote. We need to wait for this to finish. And now we can say for sure my version 6, which is pointing to that specific content view. Let's take a look here. Content view RHEL7 on version 6. This for sure has no client, satellite client, because we are picking the version 6. So we were able to publish this properly, okay? Now, if I come back to my content view, so let me return to this over here. So let me close some of the tabs, and we are here. So the composite content view. If I click on my content view, RHEL7, let me open this in a new tab. If I try to delete the version 5 now, let's see if this is gonna work. Okay, something went wrong while deleting versions because I'm still having the content view version 5 on that specific composite content view. And that's right, because if we came over here, see, I can see all those versions. Even if I pick my version 1, this was pointing to my content view RHEL7 version 1. And if I open this version 1, let's take a look. Version 1, I should be able to see this information over here. So again, I have to break this chain. How to break this chain? I'm gonna go to my composite content view, and I have to get rid of all those versions of the content views or composite content views. And again, I can do this selecting multiple versions, but let me do one single version, and then you can see. Let's click on the 3 dots, delete, and here I'm on the composite content view, delete, there you go. The task was created, and then we can see version 3, 4, and 6. Can I do this in a batch or bulk action? Definitely yes. I can pick all of them. Should I be deleting the current one? No, because this will be affecting your environment and your machines will be complaining, or eventually your satellite will be complaining because you cannot do that. So let's uncheck this one. I will keep all the other versions or older versions or older, you got the point. And let's delete all of them. So we can see a review here, version 4, 3, 2, and 1. And this is gonna delete all the previous versions, breaking the chain and allowing me now to go to my content view. We can refresh this one, no big deal. If I pick my version 5 now and try to delete, let's cross the fingers, and There you go. So Satellite now was able to remove this content view because the composite content view that we used to have this specific version is not around anymore because we get rid of all those previous versions. So should I do the same here? Because I would like to remove all that old information. I don't need that information anymore. I'm looking for to remove that specific repository just to keep over here. Let's click on content on the left menu, Red Hat Repositories. If we scroll down, this is the one. Satellite clients 6 for RHEL10. We can see that's still gray out. So let's do this. Let's remove all the versions or all the minor versions. We will keep like just the latest one. So just to recap this point, if I have my third-party repository, it will be pretty simple. I can just go to my third-party repository and get rid of the third-party repository. This is gonna update my content view, composite content view, and there is no need at all to publish a new version. However, if we are talking about a Red Hat repository, you have to do all those steps. If you work with composite content views plus content views, then just keep in mind that you have those dependencies. You have to break the chain, you have to break this connection, starting by the composite content view, removing those informations or those versions, previous versions, and then you can go to your content view and then break them down as well. But for third party, it is pretty simple. Okay, at this moment, we have just this version, version 6. This version 6 of this content view has no satellite clients. We removed all the versions from the previous versions from this content view, as well from the composite content view. In other words, at this moment, I can tell that there is no relationship with that repository and the content views. So if I just access this page now and refresh, are you ready? Look at that. It's still enabled somewhere or disabled. So let's do a quick review over here. It is not here. It is not there. Let's take a look on the content views. We have the rolling content view. So as I mentioned before, a rolling content view is different from a regular content view because rolling content view will be getting content from the library default organization view, but there is no need of publishing because if I have my satellite syncing, this content here will be totally updated. The main point is I do have this repository over here, enable. So I have this in my rolling content view. With that said, let's do this. I will just remove this one from this specific rolling content view. Assuming that, again, I don't want a satellite client on my RHEL10 content hosts. Now, are you ready? Let's take a look. I'm gonna cross my fingers and look at that beauty. So again, I will not be using this one. I don't want this anymore. Can I hit the button here and remove? Definitely I can. And now we are down to 8 repositories and we start with 28 repositories, less 20 repos in our environment. All right, there is one more thing that I would like to show you here. Let me close some tabs. Let's take a look in our environments. Right now, I can tell you for sure that we have like a very organized environment. I have my content views for RHEL9 and 10. I have my content view or composite content view for RHEL9 and 10. And I would like to see where my machines are consuming content. So let's click on host content host on the left menu. And then I can see something like this. So this machine over here, the node 02, is consuming content from this composite content view RHEL9 Acme. So let's take a look over there. This will be underneath contents, lifecycle, content view, composite content view RHEL9 Acme. So I can click over here and check this out. I can easily see from this main page, if I open all of them, how many machines are consuming content from each content view / composite content view. This composite content view has one host. And if I click over here, we can see that this is gonna open a filter and I can see all the content hosts that are consuming content from that specific environment. Same here. I have this machine, this is a RHEL9, and then I can see this machine consuming content from this one. Are you sure, Wally? Yeah, see? We have the QA environments, composite content view, RHEL9, Acme. Composite content view, RHEL9, Acme. I have this one publishing different lifecycle environments, so I can definitely pick that information. For this one, my content view, I have 0 hosts. Content view, I have 0 hosts. I have another video here talking about this. Whenever working with content views and composite content views, at the end of the day, you'll be using only the composite content view. So you create the content views to create the filter, to play around, to add the repositories, but the ones that you'll be registering your system against will be the composite content views. And if you take a look, I have this rolling content view, which I also do have one content view or one content host that is consuming content from that specific environment. All right, once again, I would like to see this information, generate a report with this information, like the beginning of the process. Let's suppose that I'm going to clean up all my environment and I would like to have a list of this eventually in the beginning or eventually like in the end, because I believe I can clean up more, but I'm not sure. Is there any way to generate a report or create something that will help me with this information? There is no report here via WebUI out of the box, but definitely we can do this easily with Hammer. I have another video here that you can check about Hammer, like a pro, which is an amazing video. But let's play around here real quick. Hammer content view list. This is gonna give us the list of content views. So all of them will be here. And then I can do things like this. Hammer content view show. This is going to show some additional information about one specific ID. And the ID here is 1. I'll keep all the information here on the screen just for the sake of presenting. So let me resize this a little bit. And now we can see this is my default organization view. The organization is Acme. The name is library. And I can see over here content host count. And then I can see 1, which is amazing. It is a very, very similar information that we can see from here. Then I can do this to all of them. And how to do this to all of them? Because eventually I have like 10, 100, 1,000 content views, composite content views, mixed environments. So let's do this. Let's play a little bit more. And I will not clean up the screen yet. So if you see, we are passing a very similar command as before, at least this one over here. This is pretty similar to this. And now I'm passing some fields. And then there is ID, name, and content host count. Content host count. So is that the same field over here? Again, this is on the other video, but anytime you can add -- help, and -- help is gonna provide you some information. If you see those fields, you can see all the fields that you can play along. So that one specifically is content host count. So basically I can copy this string from here and paste over there. Don't forget that we have spaces. So in this case, the quote unquote is a requirement. So with that said, let's come back and let's rerun this guy. So right now you can see that I have the ID, I have the name, and I have the content host. Well, this is boring because it is not formatted properly. Like I have to do my magic, I have to do some parse here to put something like a CSV. Don't worry, my man. You can definitely add a -- CSV in the beginning of your line. This is gonna format the output in a CSV format. You like it? Amazing tip, and definitely deserves your subscription if you had no idea about this one. So you can see that we have ID, name, content host, we have the header over here, and we have the information, like the ID is 1, the name is the organization view, and the content host count is 1. So I know for sure that in my library / the organization view, there is 1 content host consuming content from that specific lifecycle environment, content view lifecycle environments. Can I do this for all of them? Because I saw the repos over here, the content views. So I have to copy 3 and 12 and 2 and 11. No. Don't do that. We are here to help you out. One additional information that I would like to show here is this. Anytime that you like to remove the header, you can put something like no headers. This is going to bring back the information with no headers. So if you enjoy Bash like me, then definitely this is a thing. You don't have to be removing, grabbing out using sed or grep or cut or whatever to remove the first line. You can definitely pass -- no headers and then just use all the rest of the information. So I believe you got the point. Let me just give it a try with a different value, 11, and then we can be sure that this is working as expected. Okay, the ID is 11, the name is the content viewer CV underscore RHEL9, and there is no machine consuming content from this environment or this content view. Okay, now I'm gonna drop this beauty over here and tell you, or let's run and see what this is gonna present to us. And I'm gonna explain this. This is what I like to call a nested command or nested hammer. Basically, you can see that I'm mixing some stuff, some beauty stuff over here, a bash, basically. Anything in between the dollar parentheses over here will be executed. So we have the command hammer --csv to generate a CSV output. No headers because I don't care about the headers. Content view list, which is basically very similar to the one that we saw above. Okay, but now no headers and no format, like we are getting this on CSV. And anytime that I pass the fields, so let me add the fields over here, and I will not clean up on purpose. I'll be picking only the IDs. So you can see 3, 12, 2, 11, all of them are matching, okay? Okay, the output of this is gonna be the input for this for loop, and the value of B will be iterating on 3, and then the next will be 12, the next will be 2, the next will be 11, the next will be 4, the next will be 1. For each of them, we have this do, and the final of this block is this done. And underneath, we have the hammer. Again, same beauty, amazing hammer, --csv, you already know, CSV format, -- no headers, already know, no headers at all. We are passing content view, show, --id, $B. First run, 3. Second run, 12. Third run, 2, and go on. -- fields, ID, name, content hosts. Because we are passing this as a CSV, everything will be in a single line. And that's all. So we were able to see here something like this. We have the ID, number 3. We have the name, which is composite content view, RHEL10 underscore acme. And we have the content host count, which is 1. So I can tell you for sure that there is one machine that is consuming content from this composite content view. There is also one machine that is consuming content from this composite content view. About content view RHEL10, 0 machines. Content view RHEL9, 0 machines. Content view rolling RHEL10, 1 machine. And the for organization view, 1 machine. Pretty cool, huh? To close this one, let me do this. Let's click again on hosts, all hosts. I'm gonna open all of them. I could be doing this as a bulk action, but I don't wanna at this moment. So this is consuming content from this content view rolling 10. I'm gonna keep this one over here. This is consuming content from the for organization view, which is good. This is consuming content from this composite content view. Let's add this one. I wanted this machine getting content from the for organization view. This one over here, same. I wanted this machine getting content from the for organization view. If I open a new view of hosts on the left menu and content hosts, we can see that basically 3 of them are consuming content from the for organization view library, and this one is consuming content from the rolling content view. If I just rerun this command, the for loop, and I'm keeping the whole information here on purpose now, look at that. My composite content view RHEL10 Acme has 0 content hosts. Same for my composite of RHEL9. My content view of RHEL10 0. My content view of RHEL9 0. My rolling content view for RHEL10 has 1 machine, and we know that because we kept that machine over there. And we can review here. The 3 of them are consuming content from the full organization view, which is located on library. And basically that's it. Now, if we return to let's do the similar review as we did before. I have my products. I don't have third-party anymore because in this case, I was able to remove all of them. Then I can do my double check on Red Hat Repositories, which is amazing. Check this out. We have 8 repositories. Now we start with 28 repositories. This is pretty cool. And anytime you can come back here and you can review this process. If you go to Lifecycle and then Content View, we can review the content views that we have, Content View row 9, 10, and I was able to remove from that specific content view that specific repository, which allowed me to remove the client for row 10, which was expected for my scenario, my environment, or at least for this video, in order to share this knowledge with you guys. So I'm good with that. And the activation key. I can see now that I have my activation key for RHEL10. This is good because I'm still working with RHEL10. This will register any machine on my library, the organization view, which is also good based on my needs. This is okay. I also do have this activation key, which is registering the machine against library and that specific rolling content view. So this is working fine for me. One more video that I have about cleaning up, it is the process that will remove some files from your file system. If we just execute that command, u-hs on var lib pulp media artifacts, I don't believe the size is gonna change too much, at least not at this moment. But in a few days, any content that was downloaded for those repositories that was enabled on my system, and eventually some machine downloaded those packets, they will go away. So the main idea is you should be able to see at the end of the day this value dropping drastically because we were able to get rid of all the third-party repos that are not in use anymore, all the content views, activation keys, and any information, even the content hosts that used to be registered, but they should not be anymore, like RHEL7, RHEL6, RHEL5, anything that you know for sure that should not be in your satellite anymore. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, this is a very nice topic. I hope you enjoy. Let me know down below in the comments if you have questions, concerns, or any situation that you got in your environment. I would love to hear that. Once again, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you for your time just to be watching the videos on this channel. And I will see you in the next video and in the next year. Take care. Bye.